So Nina, just tell us about what you've been working on.
Well, hello, Noel. Good morning and welcome to my house. This week, we are taking a deep dive into social media and kids and the addiction that has risen over the last 10, 20 years with social media and kids. And this kind of all came up with my own experiences with my own kids. I've got a 7 and 10-year-old girls, and we don't do a lot of online screen time. My kids don't have social media. I've always kind of had my walls up thinking, if we don't have a lot, if we don't do a lot, if we don't do this, if we don't do that, then I'll protect them and then we're good. And I learned the hard way that keeping your walls up and doing all the don'ts is not a good way to protect them. You don't realize what they're exposed to when they're not at home and not within your own four walls. And that kind of got me thinking about what we can do to learn more about social media and learn more ways to protect them and learn what they're maybe not teaching them in school about social media. I didn't realize that there's just really no formal curriculum in public schools throughout the state of Wisconsin, nationally. There's really no formal curriculum for teaching social media safety, teaching internet safety. It's just kind of something that schools piecemeal together at their own will. And I didn't realize that. So this has been a eye-opening experience for me that I really am excited to share with viewers what I've learned.
So when you were doing your research for the series, when did you first realize that many schools don't have very much curriculum when it comes to social media?
It's a good question. When I was doing my research and I was thinking about, what is really in place to teach kids how to use social media safely, it made me think about when I was in school and when we did like our DARE programs to learn about drugs and when we did driver's ed, when we did sex education, all this stuff was required for us to take in school through, state funding and through the public school system. All this stuff is something we had to do and to keep us safe and to give us the tools that we needed to be safe and to go out in the world and function in society. But, social media and the internet has been around for decades, and there's really nothing in place, or at least required, for us to learn how to use those tools safely. And it's so ingrained in our society to use these tools. I mean, kids have to use social media to keep up with their social calendars, to keep up with their sports calendars, to keep up with their extracurricular activities, but they're not, it's not required for them to learn how to use these tools safely. So I'm learning what's out there, how can kids learn how to use these tools safely and what curriculums really are out there. And I've learned so much about it. And again, I'm just excited to share what I've learned.
Yeah, and so how have you learned about, just how addictive social media can be for young kids?
What I've learned is that these apps that kids are using, there's TikTok and Twitter and Facebook and et cetera, Instagram, and the games, these interactive online games, are created by addiction specialists. I didn't know that. They're created specifically designed to be addictive. Every buzz, every click, every light, every sound, they're giving these kids these like feeding dopamine to make them want to use them more and more, and it builds on it, and it's created specifically to do that. And I didn't know that. And again, it's just so eye-opening, these things that I've learned. And these apps, they spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to make them as addictive as possible. And I found that shocking.
All right, Nina, thank you so much for joining us. And be sure to tune in tonight at 6 p.m. for the first of the 3-part series, The Digital Drug.